Yes, a lot of pressure. It's very good. Like also the setup for the nearly first pick if H2K don't decide to ban it.
Okay. Yeah, they want to create a bait, obviously, like being nidalee open. Maybe, like H2K doesn't play a lot of nidalee though. You have to make this an account. There's a lot of draft where H2K is not picking nidalee. So maybe they're sending Fnatic into best champion of spirits, and then they want to trade about something else.
And now obviously like a key advice then, because we see nidalee coming in, rek'sai would then often be the jungle choice. A lot of teams will either take the rek'sai here to see more picks and try and counter, or they would not pick rek'sai in the first rotation. What do you guys think about that? Like, in this case, saving the jungle pick for later, and just aiming for, let's say, pick up your bot lane as an example.
In this meta right now, I think I like this meta because there's no clear what you have to first pick. It always depends what the game plan is, what you want to have. So it wouldn't surprise me to see a rek'sai, but it wouldn't also surprise me to see a jhin and like a frontline already, or
no, like a jhin Braum or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Sivir Braum.
Like there are just two schools. Either you match the picks so that you don't reveal and you just counter pick every time. Either you get your favorite pick because it's open. So this depends on the team, I think.
Yeah.
And here, like you will see what kind of school H2K is basically.
Braum is one we expect.
There you go. So
they
don't want to reveal AD carry though instead of support, which is something like sometimes is particular. But yeah, Braum, pretty solid pick I would say in overall meta. So.
Do you guys feel like there's a lot of counters in the current AD carry meta? Specifically, so like you can save the AD carry pick for later because then you can try and counter pick with it. Let's say the other team goes for Ashe and then you lock in a Sivir as a response.
There are quite a lot of favorable matchups for AD carries right now, I think. It's not like a hard counter or something, but it's something you know you have to pressure for bot lane, and it helps your jungler to know, okay, now my bot lane pushes, I can invade, I can do my plays, and I will get back up by, in this case, the Braum, for example, or that's what Fnatic picks up.
You need to be really careful because I think rek'sai Braum is the worst duo in jungle support in mid late game possible. Like this is the two worst champion in the meta into scaling late game. For example, if you're playing against nidalee Bard, which I expect Fnatic to lock probably. I don't know if YellowStar is actually playing it recently, but if nidalee Bard is ahead in early game, then rek'sai Braum can never contest because you're gonna get spear, you're gonna get Q. rek'sai Braum do not synergize together really well, and I saw a lot of people picking it together, and I think most of the loss of rek'sai and Braum comes with this combo, not of the champion themselves.
Opinion about Fnatic right here already showing that it is going to be Trundle's support and not having any sort of flexing.
I really love it because when we think about Irelia, the two main counters are Trundle and Shen. Shen is banned. You know it's a Braum support, it means you have a melee support matchup on bot lane. Taking a Trundle there is perfectly fine, and you deny the counter pick to the Irelia. I like what Fnatic did here.
Yeah, I like this rotation too. You can always like either match Braum and picking like Trundle or like Alistar or even like tahm kench or Morgana, but usually what we tend to do in this meta right now is to pick like some Karma, Nami to overpressure the Braum and then win through early game. But here Fnatic are just saying we're gonna match you, but you're gonna have a better matchup support than you, melee. So I think yeah, this is good rotation with Irelia so far.
Is there for H2K right now when they're considering their composition, are they still able to maybe like find some sort of counter pick for Irelia, or instead do you just go like team fighting? Which they're actually doing right now.
The answer right now, the tahm kench is back. We also had some games with tahm kench and scrims. It's really weird because sometimes he feels so oppressive if he's ahead, but if he's behind, he's completely useless.
Yeah, he's pretty good against like a tank though, less against Irelia because he has this 20 or 30% HP damage that he can deal. So I'm not too sure if it's the best pick. The wisest. Well, and Caitlyn is really solid, like one of the best AD carry in the meta.
It definitely seems like H2K is opting in for lane swapping here with what they're doing. Also with the Trundle into the Braum, lane swap and then move the Kate to mid lane out once the tier 1 towers are down.
Especially, one thing about the tahm kench pick again, usually you pick tahm kench to deny a single target CC or single target burst spell. Right now, what we saw was nearly Trundle and Irelia, and there's nothing really you want to eat away from. Maybe the Irelia who dashes in, but I feel like there would be other options than tahm kench for top.
Yeah, and obviously, like when you see this telescoped lane swap coming in, then you know they're probably gonna invade 100%. So they're probably gonna look for the dive. So here you have to know right now, Fnatic should understand if they can match the invade or not, or if they should just trade the ward, or if they just like fight them when they invade. But yeah, I think H2K are like in need of this lane swap, and we have like jhin locked, decent against Caitlyn, and Viktor, which is the safest of the safest pick mid.
And H2K right now is fairly locked in what they want to do. Like they're not gonna build a split pushing composition with the tahm kench. Like they're locking into like the 1-4 almost pure team fighting composition. So are we expecting right now like a control mage just to match the Viktor and then like play team fighting if you are on the side of H2K?
I mean, it's
hard to say.
I mean, they can pick a little bit of everything. Even like Zilean being banned, like you can pick anything. It will just change your composition basically. Like I don't think any champion is the best right now. Azir, Zilean, Karma, and Malzahar were banned, so yeah. Cassiopeia is a safe pick, I think.
Going for the safe pick there. Very interestingly, Caitlyn, we had a discussion here before that it wasn't that strong, but here you would prioritize it. Is that because of the composition now, or?
Well, Caitlyn has dropped down in priority for a lot of teams right now. Obviously, you still have some issues in the mid game, but she's fantastic at sitting in mid. Problem with this composition, in my opinion, from H2K is they're not winning any side lanes, like right now. Tahm Kench is not going to win the top side lane, and you're going to have Cassiopeia and Caitlyn sharing farm and experience in mid.
It's the same with Jhin Viktor, though.
It is technically the same, but I feel like, at least with Jhin Viktor right now, you have more ways you can actually like force some long-range picks, potentially.
I think it's going to be an ARAM at the end of
Yeah, it's just an ARAM.
It's going to be an ARAM.
Game,
Especially because Fnatic is so good of catching people out of position, like the trundle pillar, the Jhin ultimate. As soon as H2K oversteps without vision, they're gonna die for it.
Yeah, that's also like I like in a way the tahm kench. We will see what he's gonna do during this game, but tahm kench is interesting to deny this possibility.
Yeah, we will see what happens as we see the coaches there shaking hands as they're going to get onto the Rift. The drafts are locked in for game 1 here between Fnatic and H2K. That's enough from us. Let's head it over to our casters.
Thank you very much, Shox. Of course, I'm Sifa, subbing in for Pulse, still joined alongside Krepo.
Still here. Can't get rid of me.
It's been difficult in the recent days. Of course, take this opportunity, guys, to head on over to Twitter, tweet out at LOL Esports, hashtag FNC win, or hashtag H2K win, depending on where your loyalties lie. Now, you're used to this now. You've been here once with this whole coaches doing pick ban thing. It's still throwing me off, man.
I like this, you know. Any shift in responsibility is a shift I support. It's really cool to get some insights on the picks and bans here. What I really liked about this draft here, though, is that Irelia and Trundle were locked in the same rotation, so you can lock in the Irelia if you want to play with it. One of the champions that Kikis did extraordinarily well in the limited time he had in the LCS, and then you remove the counter pick. So I think that's a cool notion, especially since Trundle lanes well into Braum. But definitely echoing what the analyst said there on the desk, we need a lane swap if you're H2K, because otherwise your lanes will be a little bit rough.
We can see it now. Odo, he's spamming the laugh. He looks like he might be happy with the standard lanes. They are going to know what's going down. We'll have to see if they do want to go for the swap.
I mean, melee supports into melee supports, it's still okay. Like, I don't think I've Trundle as a counter to Braum. It's okay, it's playable, but I don't know. Maybe because it's Rekkles YellowStar, that also plays into it. I don't think their laning ability is that strong, personally.
Why would you say that?
It's just not that strong in lane.
I wanted more. I wanted to know.
I don't know. There's not in point. They don't push advantages as hard, and like I feel like they could win winning matchups harder. Anyways, it looks like YellowStar and Rekkles are heading to the top lane. Irelia in a lane swap always does worse too. Like Tahm Kench is kind of he's a utility champion, right?
Yeah.
So like if you put like a carry champion in lane swap, they do a lot worse than tanks. Tanks love being in lane swaps because they can always tank.
Now, we heard from the coaches on the desk there that if the Tahm Kench can get ahead, he can be a giant threat. Do you feel like they're limiting the potential of this pick by kind of denying him some of those resources?
He can still be incredibly annoying, and then that's basically his role here. But again, 2 lane swaps today. See, I just want standard lanes. And these guys just not fight. Always lane swaps.
No. It's just, I'm sorry, Krepo. It's not going to happen, man. People want to open up the map. They want big team fights. There's no opportunity for your 2v2 bot lane.
Yeah, let's start digging into this tempo.
Of course, looking at the mid lane matchup, this is one that we haven't seen quite as much of. It's one that Vedius and Pulse talk about all the time in their repeated office 1v1s. Who do you think really has the edge here in these early levels?
I mean, Viktor always is passive in the early game. The problem with playing against the Viktor is that even if you punish him early and push him on the tower, he CS's decently under tower, and eventually he becomes a wave clear bot. Yeah, sure, Viktor loses lane priority in a lot of matchups, but he stays even in CS more or less while losing, and then his E eventually clears out the entire mini waves. So that's kind of the problem with Viktor here. Now Febiven has to pick up as much farm as he can on the tower. He will drop. Cassiopeia is a lane bully, so he will always have the edge. The problem is that he's now overextended and technically can fall victim to a gank, but Viktor, nidalee have a really hard time ganking people.
One thing that I do like about the way Fnatic drafted here is they took away this Viktor, reused most played champion, and it also felt like additionally a very safe blind pick. So it felt like they really got a 2-for-1 in that rotation. And while you can see, obviously it's a little bit harder to farm in the lane against Cassio, it still looks like Fnatic got a really solid setup here.
Yeah, no, Viktor as a blind pick, super safe mid lane pick. You can always do that here. Lane swap also means very little action. The one thing that I worry about for late game in H2K is that both Caitlyn and Cassiopeia, you know, they're only damage dealers in these fights. Yes, Cassio can get some AoE off with her ultimate, but eventually their damage is heavily limited, especially when an exhaust comes into play. If YellowStar gets close to Cassio, exhausts Ryu, and then Freeze doesn't really get to use his runedowns to the maximum potential, they're so much funneled into single target DPS, and they need to deal with like some exquisite backline divers. Like a nidalee or an irelia can't take out either of these carries, so it will be paramount that Odoamne eats up his allies on the right timings and then puts them out for maximum DPS.
A lot of executional kind of difficulty here potentially for H2K as we move further into the game. Of course, still very early here. Lane swap continuing as expected as Fnatic moves into the bottom side of the map. Do you think that there's a really big break point? Because for me, I mean, there seems like a lot of pick potential on the side of Fnatic, but in these lane swaps, it seems so hard to execute.
Yeah, like, people say there's a lot of pick potential, and Grabs mentioned that, but like, is there really though? There's Jhin W, and then there's the trundle pillar that snares you, but you're playing into a team that has a Braum and a rek'sai to jump in front of you in case you get caught, and you have the threat of a Cassiopeia R-Flash counter engage. So Fnatic, they really like drafting these low CC comps, where if you look at H2K, you have allied CC from the tahm kench. He can also stun somebody. You have knockout from Jankos, AoE stun from Ryu, 5 traps, and a 90 caliber net, and then you have a wealth of CC plus exhaust on Braum. There's so much more crowd control effects on the side of H2K. Yes, they run out of damage. There's much more damage on the Fnatic lineup, but this is a battle that we very often see, you know, CC versus hard damage.
Will be interesting to see how it unfolds, especially with Fnatic. Some of their success and execution last week, although it was a little bit shaky here and there. A similar story for H2K. Jankos just trying to soak up some XP as he backs out here. Now, interesting, we did see Odo use the TP into the top lane to continue this trade. He is a bit ahead in terms of farm, but Kikis having that TP advantage could potentially be an opening for Fnatic here.
Yeah, if he gets punished here. Now you see the return to standard lanes here. Odoamne can actually not finish off that turret because he was expecting bounce to wave much sooner. Gets kind of surprised by this Kikis teleport. So this is good. This is actually one of the strengths for Kikis all around, communication and teleports. He's a good low econ player that's suddenly surprised with the Irelia coming out in a lot of these matches here for G2 before eventually, you know, he moved to the full substitute position and wanted to be kind of cycled out.
And what I really like about Kikis' evolution as a player, too, is that not only was he start playing these carry champs like Irelia, he was one of the first to pick it up in Europe here. Very experienced on this champion overall. And on top of that, combining that champion with good teleports is so crucial.
Yeah, but he's still stuck in a pushing lane here with a roaming rek'sai around. And his jungler is on the bottom side of the map here, the way this lane swap played out. So he needs to be careful right now. H2K have prior in mid and top lane. But it does look like the Jankos is not looking to gank more. He just puts up the vision and then wants to match Spirit in camps here, not get invaded. Look at 3 pink wards here in the top side. They're really helping Odoamne stay alive here.
And this is just excellent vision control coming in on the side of H2K, as you mentioned. Giving up a little bit here and there, but now Spirit potentially in trouble.
Yeah, they don't need to duel him. They just need to find out where he is, make sure that nidalee can't goop and use their damage edge on people here. So that's really great job by Jankos. Also, this lane swap meant that both junglers kind of paced equally because they're kind of hard capped on camps because the map gets divided like really roughly, you know, one left side for you, right side for me, and you stay equal in camps. And because H2K was quicker on the tempo with the teleport too, there's no distinct farm advantage here for Spirit yet. It's something he loves doing on that nidalee.
Yeah, usually we see him crawl or pull out pretty quickly in these leads, but Jankos has been doing a good job of keeping up, limiting his impact with his
because of the lane
vision.
swap.
Yeah. I mean, really limits the kind of creative jungle pathing that you have available to you when you divide the map up like that. Spirit, though, interesting that he's continuing to put pressure on the top side of the map. Kikis, a very new player to the team, but not hesitating to make his presence known.
Definitely what he needs to do here, because all the other lanes are fine, and he needs to snowball that Irelia in that lane. It was a bounced lane, so initially it was Kikis overextending, but if his jungler shadows for him, overextension turns into pressure, and then obviously now he has a pushing lane, and Spirit can start looking to duel Jankos.
Jankos, though, being patient on that Unburrow, knows that he wants to cancel at least one of Spirit's abilities. Ooh, Spirit barely makes it out of the miasma there. Not going to get the grounded effect. Would have been disastrous, actually, for that nidalee. No flash, no dashes. Pretty potent CC if placed correctly, but just barely missing out there in the end. Started the animation before the miasma hit.
Yeah, now this is good synergy here. So Spirit is contesting Raptors and Krugs, you know, while challenging, putting pressure on Odoamne here, and now we see some CS gains here from Fnatic. They have a 500 gold lead. It's going to shrink, obviously, as this lane gets absorbed here by Odoamne, but good little map movement here. The right position of Spirit on the map, something he's always been strong at. Him and both Trick, honestly, very similar in that style. Very, very intelligent when it comes to their pathing. Have to
see where he shifts his attention to next. You can see Jankos peeking his head out of his jungle. Wants to get back some of that vision control. I feel like just minutes ago, we saw H2K with so many pinks starting to push into that Fnatic vision control territory, but now Spirit makes that response on the top side, and suddenly the vision is once again in the favor of Fnatic. And as Febiven picks up this blue buff, it looks like they're pretty comfortable just stalling this game out so far.
Yeah, good start from Fnatic. Very even game. Gold's even now, right now. Odoamne soaked it up. Supports are on the level, as always. Somebody has to pay the price for lane swaps.
Always got to support. You got
Always
this angry look on your face, reminiscent of the...
It's fine. Our diabolical plan is still in motion. We're convincing junglers that side stones are great. That's step one. Then we let them have the kills.
You can't reveal this on air.
Yeah, no,
You can't.
Then we give them the kills, and then eventually we just happen to forget to build side stone because they build it anyways. That's when the true carry comes back. You start playing like brand support where you trade and you accidentally pick up some CS. It's like, yeah.
Oh, I couldn't. It's a passive.
Just
you
AoE,
just
man.
Takes it down.
There's flames everywhere. Oopsie.
All right. I mean, now everybody knows, but only EU LCS viewers. Don't tell your friends. Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Just us here. And the stream and the crowd. Surely nobody would go out. Spoil this diabolical plan.
I feel like the way you should have approached it, as we watch Ryu move back into mid lane here, is though just like, Sightstone is such a good buy on junglers. You should buy it every time. There's no reason. You don't need stats. You just need vision.
Vision. This vision is knowledge. Knowledge is power. All right, we're going for lane swap version extreme. We keep swapping around here. That tower that didn't go down earlier finally gets dropped here. Fnatic looking to match. And we're just waiting, you know, anticipation. The tension is building up here.
I'm not like face first in the screen yet like I usually am, Preppo, like waiting for a team fight to break out. I'm a little more patient this time. I'm ready. I know both these teams are just looking for an opening, and it looks like H2K thinks that they have one on the top side as they start to push in for this tier 2.
Oh, and Kikis is actually around here looking to soak up, so be careful here, because obviously Rekkles is an AD carry. He can't teleport. There's a bunch of traps here. I feel like this may be a dragon for a tier 2 trade here. I can just move.
There's going to be 2.
Oh, they're going for a dive with tahm kench, the creative play here.
Bold move. Kikis just going to flash out 3 stacks. Odo, is he going to spin him back into the team? Is that going to be Kikis dropping? Yeah, first blood. H2K making plays with the tahm kench.
Yeah, another greedy defense on the tier 2 tower. We saw it in Rocka versus Vitality, and we see it here again. Really nice play from Odoamne to flash off there and then just garble up Kikis, spin him out, get the bonus first blood. If they can make it back to this tower, it would be a really good trade, but it looks like Fnatic's at least going to even out the turret trades. That essentially makes it first blood for Dragon.
You know, Pulse always big on those Instagram plays, all those, hold that thought, Spirit. Waddle his way on out of that one. The turret does finally drop. Moving in, getting aggressive. Febiven just poking down the turret, just getting a little bit of damage now, maybe making it easier to take in the future. But despite all this action across the map, the gold remains even as we look back on this play.
Yeah, because turrets roughly even. That doesn't mean Fnatic's ahead though. If gold's even, unless this experience advantage on Odoamne potentially snowballs out of control. You love this move here. Aggressive use of tahm kench ultimate, repositioning. But then they still lose tier 2 to our bot because I think Rekkles used his ultimate for impromptu wave clear to accelerate that push too. Good awareness there.
Moving down, Vander and the rest of the H2K just going to clear out these waves. They've taken a play now, but they need to look for more setup in the future. Great tunnel network on the top side of the map, though, if they can get a collapse from Jankos.
But this is a really hard map to play on macro-wise because the game got accelerated at 12 minutes. AD carry and mid laner are already arguing for farm here. This is what happens in 4-1s with not a distinguishable side laner. No Lucian or Ezreal that can go for side lane control here. Jhin does not want to be on a side lane usually. So he kind of groups mid and then just, again, accidentally, you know, trying to poke the enemy.
I don't think this is your brand support. I think that they may actually consciously choose to split the farm here. Or is it? I mean, maybe in
No, I think by now they do, but like in Season 2, you would actually have your top laner and your mid laner fight for farm, as opposed to just saying like, no, this is your wave, now this is your wave. It's like kindergarten. H2K grouping right now though. Febiven can't laser through a shield.
Oh, zoning miasma, keeping them away from the tower. Freeze setting up the traps now. This is great use of the zone control that H2K have available.
And this was the ARAM that the desk was talking about. Is basically one guy will push up a side lane. The other guy doesn't want to wait there and hold. Like, Caitlyn doesn't want to be on a side lane to hold, so he just moves mid, go for a little bit of siege. Now Rekkles is the one pushing out, but look how afraid he is. He can't even go past the river. So he'll actually end up back, probably walking back to mid, maybe look for a pick. So these mid laners, they need to shift playstyle so quickly. They need to go from defensive 1v3 to offensive 3v1, look for picks back, incorporate the jungle, and it is so easy to lose track of all of this and get picked off.
Yeah, you can see Riptail going to drop and go over to Odoamne. Mid laners continuing to kind of shift back and forth between playstyles, but the role for top laners is pretty set at this stage of the game.
Yeah, look, like YellowStar's walking down bot. Rekkles ran top and takes a sharp right to bot lane anyways. He's going to catch that wave. We see Vander has to hold hands with Freeze to push out that wave. You don't have like solo split pushers. Now everybody's basing reset for the map here for H2K. It's very difficult to create an opening, but if you find a good one, you can capitalize hard. That's like instantly a turret down because you will always have then a big numbers advantage.
Yeah, it feels like you're just raising the stakes in these lane swap scenarios. Like every opportunity is that much bigger, but every risk is that much greater in turn.
Really large map, you know, limited kind of chess pieces. The siege is great though. Miasma into traps.
Oh, it's so brutal. I mean, you don't really appreciate how nice it is to have flash until you walk into that miasma and realize you're trapped and inevitably probably dead. Odo though, clearing out on the top side. Things, remaining patient here. We're just waiting for the setup. Both teams fighting for vision right now, fighting for these creep waves. It's not really it's more PvE at this stage of the game.
We're patiently waiting for this game to explode.
Oh, Spirit. Yeah. Not going to be able to net the cat there. He's going to make it out. Ooh, gets the blue buff too.
Yep, nice. And that's what we needed to see here from these junglers. You know, weave in between these like lane assignments. And steal away some objectives. Blue Bull gets a Knight of Rio here. That's honestly a big pick off. Everybody's grouping here. Nobody wants to play on side lanes. Everybody's like, you know, objective in a minute and a half. Great. I'll group for it. You'll group for it.
Let's fight for vision right now, and then we'll kill each other in exactly 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Unless they then realize they don't have vision and then they opt out of the fight anyways. But look, these side lanes, you know, top lane, nobody's been there for a while. They're kind of neutraled out. Bot lane gets shoved in, you know, it's like the rope tugging, you know, what's that called?
Tug of war?
Tug of war? The tug of war? It's not a war, it's a children's game.
Are you kidding me? That's the thing, I was a camp counselor for a while, and it's like all the kids are like, yeah, fun, and all the camp counselors are like, no.
You did not understand. But yeah, they're playing like minion tug of war here. Like barely over the river. Oh,
Rekkles.
It's a war.
Not happy with that. Does get knocked off. Great shot coming in from Vander. He's set to fall. Odo gonna grab that kill. H2K picking up another advantage here on the second kill.
Man, I'm loving the use of Abyssal Voyage here. Well, Fnatic expects, you know, very passive. You take a wave, I take a wave, you know, taking turns in this minion wave tug of war. Suddenly, out of nobody, out of the depths comes Odoamne. He just gobbles up Rekkles again. And now the positioning is good here for H2K. They have priority, they have the vision, and more importantly, they have a Caitlyn. The zone here with traps and the Cassiopeia W preventing any and all movement spells and flashes. Yeah, they're going to isolate this objective.
Not only that, Rekkles is the one that they were able to pick up the kill on. No TP available for the AD carry. He can't show up to this fight. H2K, though, still second-guessing themselves a little bit here. Trap zoning out Febiven. Can't afford to get that one. Laser. Just looking for the cheeky steal, but H2K are going to be able to grab that dragon.
They want to get out. Because Kikis is pressuring top wave here, so Odoamne probably going to use his teleport. Trade his TP advantage for a wave. Fnatic looking to maybe capitalize with a flank in mid then.
Pushing in. Fort's guarding out the flanks. They're going to know if anyone's coming on the side of H2K.
Yeah, TP is preserved, so Odo is sacking some CS, but he's already ahead here. Watch this again. Rekkles, yeah, like you feel so safe here. And then you see the problem, and boom, out of nowhere here. Look at his ulti from Vander, really well placed. He flashes to get in the right position, triangulates Rekkles' position, and there's no way out. If Rekkles jukes that somehow, he still walks into tahm kench here. So that was a play out of nowhere here. Really like that play from H2K.
Yeah, really bold, sudden aggression. I mean, compared to the H2K that we saw struggling at the start of the season, who was never aggressive, always looking for passive plays, this is a great start to the game.
Yeah, and Fnatic, they're looking for pickoffs too, but it's much more elusive on their side. They need to like tag with Pillar, incidentally flourish, then have Jhin's 4 shots come out. But if you look at rek'sai and Braum, who can block them, Braum even, you know, block one for free. It's so hard for Fnatic to find picks again.
Really struggling thus far in the game. irelia now struggling so much as well. 1-0-1 the scoreline for Odo, the 20 CS advantage. She'll get a little bit of that back, as the wave is going to crash into her, but not a great place to be. We talked about the tahm kench being scary. The Abyssal Voyage has already been terrifying, but now having a lead as well, actually making him a damage threat here.
Yeah. And the Cassiopeia is slightly better on the side lane. She has really good, like, 1v1 potential at least. Viktor on the side lane is... Yeah,
No.
I never want to do that. So at least H2K's composition is catered slightly more to maybe play 1-3-1 at least for a while. That's what that's what Ryu's doing right now. He's pushing out bottom wave, hopefully for a group. And H2K, they had a passive line of traps. Nobody's watching. Suddenly aggressive line of traps, you know. Keep maxing that trap ability.
Slowly moving up. Vander potentially caught out here. Winter's Bite comes out. Vander going to make it to safety. Interesting, of course, what they're opting for here. Traps, of course, are going to be maxed. Good decision coming in for Freeze. Only 2 points in Pilt over Peacemaker to balance it out. I think we've usually said looking for 3. Opts for the second point in net.
It's because of the lane swap, honestly. Yeah, he went 2 points in net. That's an adaptation. Because he's just going to max maybe net second. For more auto attack resets, I don't know. But like, you only want like 2 points in Q in a lane swap anyways. It's all about the traps here. Look at the zone. H2K
getting aggressive. Storm comes down. Gravity Field as well. Something Spirit's on the flank, but Odo's there for the backup.
And when they do this, they actually need to coincide this with a Kikis teleport flank. That could actually be an aggressive counter to this move. But right now, their teamfight tools are being used defensively to clear minion waves. H2K is still in control. Kikis is farming up in the side lane. No.
Kikis trying to balance out that CS. He has it just about even. Triforce backing him up as well as the 4 shots are going to come out. Freeze has to burn the flash here in the end. Good ult coming in from Rekkles.
Oh, everybody based. Everybody wants to spend all that gold. Mid lane tower.
Here.
Been exposed. Did he pick up a blue buff? Why was we not there?
Interesting decision making coming in from H2K. They haven't given up the tempo quite yet. Now shifting his sights to that blue buff, but Spirit's going to spot it. They should be able to hop over and take it.
Yeah, you don't want to leap into a Cassiopeia.
Oh, yeah.
Because she'll take the blue buff back from you.
Don't want to gift wrap it for him, Crepo?
If you order boot right now, the blue buff comes with a nice fur.
Fur and 400.
Yep.
Odo, the tahm kench, his Abyssal Voyage has been key for the playmaking here. I really like the way that H2K have been using this pick. So often Shen with the double globals is our focus, but Abyssal not, of course, global, but using that long-range engage.
You just forget it exists, man. You're playing Fog of War, and out of nowhere, like this random, this toad just pops up in the lane, and you're like, is he carrying somebody? I don't know, let's find out. And then he spits out like a Braum, and you eat a face full of fists.
And there's like an acquired taste on you, there's concussive blows on you, you're just... It's not a good time.
A lot of stacks.
A lot of stacks. We like the stacking abilities here in League of Legends. Jankos moving up. Both teams continuing to catch waves. It's passive, Crepo. We're waiting for the Abyssal Voyage. We're waiting for Fnatic to look for the flanks. But both teams, no one wanted to overcommit.
No, and it's the nature of the composition. When it's so hard to play on side lanes. It becomes very compact around mid lane, but teams are smart enough to realize that they will get cut out. I like what Vander's doing every time. He blocks out just a little bit of part of the laser so the minion wave doesn't get evaporated. But then every time he does that, Spirit comes around and lands free poke, and H2K kind of have to disengage. But they got Viktor ulti relatively easily now. They need to breach mid. Once they breach mid, the game will accelerate, or the pace of the game will accelerate, rather. And Fnatic is desperately looking to stop that here. Look at Kikis coming in too.
Febiven completely zoned out, no ultimate available. Keep your eyes on the Irelia.
Mad props to Vander's Braum here. He's really denying a lot of wave clear. It's the solution to these Aram comps because you need to break the wave clear somehow. Usually you wait until a Baron, but Braum can obviously deny any projectile-based wave clear. And now these strap lines are moving up here. And look at how slow these side lanes are stacking up, one on each side. Teams are very much so centric around this mid lane, but Fnatic, they can't find a way out because they have no kind of hard engage. All they have in their hopes is a flying teleport from Irelia that's slightly behind.
Relying on their new player, Kikis, of course, such a threat on the side of G2.
But if you want to set that play up, you need to get wards behind them. And trying to get pushed in, you know, this is so familiar to watch them. Obviously, they have more late game damage, so they're fine, you know. They're still even in gold. This only becomes a problem for them if they fall behind 4,000 gold or they lose access to the Baron here, because the landlord of the spells is quite some damage.
They're throwing down their ultimates, they're getting pressure down. Maybe they can use this to lay down some vision. Mountain Drake is alive. This would make it their second one of the game, that much easier to contest major objectives in the future. But H2K have a lot of tools to win this fight. No Jhin ult to threaten them.
Odo's late though, no teleport channel just yet. Hesitating.
Down. Jankos is going to go for the steal. Doesn't look like it. They are going to get it in the end. Rekkles takes so much damage.
Just wondering if H2K was actually just going to go.
Here goes Jankos, flash ult. Landing on Kikis.
That's way
There
too
comes
deep
back.
here. They should have just went down to mid lane here. Look at where their top laner is. Unless he's going for a fancy flank here, he's finally.
Oh, and he is right in the middle of the team. Vander hops forward. Got to be scared of that. But the Chaos Storm and the turn from Fnatic. Odo's locked up. He's knocked out. Over commitment from H2K as they run from this one.
Yeah, that is too deep from H2K. They could have traded their positional advantage on the map, obviously losing Dragon, but then going mid there and put up a nice zoning wall, force Fnatic to walk into them. Instead, they get kited by the Fnatic lineup. And the beautiful turnaround. This time, they are not surprised by Abyssal Voyage. And overwhelming damage, not only nets them 2 kills. On top of that Dragon that they took, they will claim mid lane tower and equalize those turrets. So suddenly, Fnatic with a really good counterplay.
Excellent overall from Fnatic, and I think a big mistake from H2K. They got aggressive, they got greedy. And
I mean,
you can see it here.
At this point, like, if you're H2K, you gotta know, you just used every single one of your abilities, and you still opt in with your tahm kench somehow. Let's see. Yeah, max range Abyssal, just what's he gonna do?
Instantly, the stat steal comes out. Subjugate goes down. Vander drops here. Odo's just pinned between a pillar and a wall. And, I mean, we talked about this being high risk, high reward, but there was no high reward there for H2K. There's no dragon to take. There's no turret to follow up on. Fnatic were the ones who could get everything from
Yeah, H2K does not get access to my bank account for some investment banking. They go high risk, low reward. Not the kind of investment I'm looking for. Probably don't even have enough to really play on investment banking. But yeah.
I've always been curious because the movies, the movies always make it look so crazy. Like investment banker lifestyle. But
All you have to do is have really good ideas and be ahead of the market.
no. You gotta understand, as play-by-play caster, I talk fast and I recycle other content. You know what I mean? We got rap references, we got the Pokemon, if you're that.
Gotta watch Big Short, man. Great movie. Just gotta predict the whole housing market falling down. That's all you gotta do. Try to make money.
Ah, yes, capitalizing on other people's misfortune. The key to capitalism's success.
All right, H2K looking to capitalize a little bit. Some misplays from Fnatic, mostly based around vision. If Fnatic run into H2K, they can punish because they have traps, they have the miasma, counter, petrifying gaze is enough. But right now, the damage threat is becoming quite large here. At any point, any member of H2K gets caught out, then Rekkles' Jhin can just unleash. 2-item spike, Viktor so much damage, Spirit so much damage.
Duskblade as well, making it that much easier to execute out. They find the right target in these fights. Freeze taking a lot of poke. No curtain call coming out. Vander moving in front to block if necessary. And Irelia starting to get a lot scarier on these side waves. You can see Kikis, or rather Odoamne, backing out of these trades.
And it's easy target selection for Rekkles. Find one of the 2 damage dealers, same for Febiven, poke them out. And if either Caitlyn or Cassiopeia start a fight on half HP, it's already lost. There is not enough damage on the other side here. Spirit with good poke here again. Ryu and Freeze need to carry these fights for H2K.
Absolutely, and what is so terrifying is that even though they have this great 3-tank front line, you've got a Trundle on the opposite side who can steal all those stats, who becomes a monster tank when you take those stats away.
My tank.
This tank requires 0 gold investment and will steal everything that your tank bought.
Man, support Trundle is such a unique champion. You max pillar. Basically, your job is to just be annoying. You put pillars in people's face, and then if a tank presents itself, you press R.
I feel like that's a story we use so often for champions in this game. And not all. Most champions, obviously really interesting, but for tahm kench, for Trundle, there's so many champions that play around that.
Yeah, they have like a really obvious telegraphed skill set, which means if you snowball, there's no stopping them, but if they fall behind, they're so utterly useless. Now let's see, H2K focusing a lot here on vision control, eating a lot of poke on the way in. But I need to make sure that they don't fall asleep here, that they don't snooze and lose the vision control, because right now Baron is completely dark. This tank front line is aggressively moving in for vision. Cassiopeia Caitlyn can have a moderately successful Baron. But if Fnatic collapse, then obviously it's curtains.
They have to be careful on their own on the side of Fnatic. Have to lay down this vision, can't afford to walk into that miasma or those traps. Freeze taking a bit of poke here. Gonna heal that back up relatively quickly. I mean, both sides, they know that Baron is the objective, and it's just gonna be that fight for Baron vision control.
Because you can't play the open map. Like, both comps are so catered around grouping that they will always identify an objective and play around it. Maybe if it's Ocean versus Baron, at least there's some trading going on. Right now, the only sense of split push is matching the waves on the side lane that is not a split pusher. So like Viktor will walk up, neutralize top lane. Look at these top lanes. They're going to go be bang on even. Nobody will even walk there for quite a while. So these 4-man units on either side are just going to stick there for a while. Febiven, he wants to go top, but he knows he'll leave his team behind. H2K have their eyes set on Ocean. Fnatic want to challenge Ocean by threatening Baron. It's like a subtle dance here. Meanwhile, everybody just waits for the mid lane wave.
Ryu throwing down that trinket. Bobbing and weaving. Spears coming out, poke going down. It's like we're a very slow waltz here. You know? Sometimes it's a polka. The LCS, people just throwing stuff haphazardly. I don't know a lot about polka, so that's offensive. I apologize.
All I know about polka is from Home Alone. That's the extent of my knowledge. But this Baron here is being polka down though.
Voyage. They're just gonna burn it down. Are you kidding me? Fnatic, double Mountain Dragon. So easy for them to get this. The disengage now coming out. Snares landing. Here comes the curtain call. One shot, two blocked out by Vander. Third shot going to land. Fourth one, it's the crit. Eaten up by Odo. Save the damage in the end. H2K, they're great at disengaging from that exchange, but they lose the Baron.
Yeah, they yield position and Fnatic use their damage edge. Obviously, what they lack in crowd control, they make up in sheer amount of brute force damage. Honestly, they have 2 Mountain Dragons too, so that went incredibly quick on the side of Fnatic, and honestly, that's a game-changing call here. H2K snoozing again, losing control. Honestly, that chase after the Dragon is what cost them everything in this game. They had a momentum, they had positional advantage. They had one more Abyssal Voyage they could have used. But right now, they're on the back foot here. And right now, they're feeling the brunt of Fnatic's pressure.
Consistency and snowballing has been such a rough point for H2K thus far. Once again, giving something up, getting too eager. Try to find something else to try to get something back. Now Fnatic pretty comfortable to just push in. With this Baron buff, it's so easy to just start burning through these tier 2s. Maybe even start to pressure the inhibitors.
And honestly, Kikis is slotting in just fine here in the lineup. His role is quite easily identifiable, but he's a player that obviously has better communication than Gamsu, and he can always tell his team that he's ready to teleport, which means the remaining 4 members of Fnatic can move with just that little bit more freedom.
And my big question was, how is he going to play with Spirit? Spirit and Gamsu known to be these guys who are good friends outside of the game. How are these personal relationships going to, affect it? But it looks like it's all professionalism here. Spirit pays attention to Kikis, no hesitation, helps him out with that vision in the early game. And now the team playing as a very cohesive unit despite the new member on their roster.
I mean, even if you're sad that you lose your friend, you could be a sad winner or a sad loser. And Spirit, I think he wants to be a sad winner at least. Here we see poke into ulti. More poke.
You caught out. Your body blocking for freeze.
Conga line. Every time Jhin ultis, an impromptu Conga line starts. With tanks in the front.
Miasma goes down. No more need for the Conga line. H2K gonna retreat. Not looking to dance at this point in the game. It's Fnatic are like, oh, we're gonna lead. H2K like, no. I want to lead. We're not gonna dance now.
No, that's. Yeah, my back hurts. Alright, now they're holding. They need to surprise with Abyssal Voyage. That's their only win condition at this point because they're engaged. Or they need to surprise with a Q Flash R from Braum. Flash knockup from Jankos, but they need to catch Fnatic off guard. Otherwise, this unrelenting poke here and zone will be enough to get them out of the turret here. They're waiting for Kikis to crash through the tower. So this is where H2K is looking for an engage. 100% because they don't want to send out Odoamne.
It's 32 minutes into the game and there's a 6K gold lead in favor of Fnatic. 3 Dragons backing them up as they pressure in the towers here. As you said, the wave finally crashing in on top side. Leaves open a vulnerable spot on the bottom. Fnatic getting ready to push in. Traps blocking them.
Yeah, it's kind of Pong that they're playing. Jankos and Vander always need to be at the same side where Febiven and Spirit push in. Catch the pink one balls, catch the poke.
I gotta say, these teams good at multitasking. Pong, dancing, there's polka.
Hey man, they get paid well enough as pro players for some multitasking.
Tower's gonna go down. Odo's throwing down a lot of poke, but they're gonna commit to him, and he pops before he can use the thick skin. That's disaster. Curtain call comes out. 1 shot, 2, 3, looking for Jankos. The 4th is gonna connect. Jungler ripped through. Fnatic gonna take down the inhibitor on the back of that engage.
Yeah, and they're looking for more here. 1 imminent falls. 1 top laner dead too. That's the recipe for a second one.
This is absolutely disastrous for H2K. Ryu doing what he can to defend. This is their last opportunity to hold this inhibitor. Moving forward, Ryu gets locked up. Kikis goes forward, he gets aggressive. YellowStar suddenly on the front line. Spirit looking for the cleanup. Kikis goes in. Down goes Ryu. Jankos next. Will he fall too? That's gonna be it. Fnatic, they're cleaning up house. H2K running for their lives.
2 damage dealers on H2K, both easily identifiable. Kikis stuns one, they turn. Petrifying Gaze was not enough, and Fnatic, after a very slow but tempered early game, it only takes one mistake from H2K and they punish it. They snowball straight from the Baron Dragon play into the Baron play, and they're looking to close.
You give Fnatic an opening and they're going to close it out. Vander running for his life. Fnatic, they're taking their time on the Nexus. They know they've got this win. They're gonna close it out in style. Fnatic taking game 1 over H2K.